Hi friends, welcome to the channel Unshackling Sudokus and Puzzles. Ashish here, and today I'll be covering a Sudoku variant called Killer Sudoku. So this Sudoku I have constructed for patrons of my Patreon page Enthralling Sudoku, where I send 20 classics and 20 variants every month. So the classics that I send are not advanced classics but just requires basic scanning techniques but might be really tough, not easy ones. You have to find some hidden pairs, hidden triplets, hidden singles to complete the classics. So these won't be tough, and you'll really need to have some basic Sudoku skills or techniques to solve these classic Sudokus. Apart from classics, I will send 220 variants every month, and which will be 10 different variants. So total of 20 Sudokus. Each variant will have, I mean to say, 2 Sudokus in each variant. So this was one of the Sudoku that I had sent for March 2022. So I had sent to all my patrons in the March set. So one of the killer Sudokus. So I hope you enjoyed this Sudoku. If at all you are looking forward to such Sudokus, classics and variants, please subscribe to my Patreon page. I will add the link in the description below. You will really find these Sudokus amazing. All are purely handcrafted, and I have really got a really good feedback of the quality of these Sudokus, right? So this is one of the killer Sudokus that I had sent. Let's try to solve this. There is a really different solve path in this Sudoku, so I thought of covering a video on this one. The solve path in this killer Sudoku is quite different from what you you normally see in a killer Sudoku, right? So let's try to solve this Sudoku. And before going to the Sudoku, I would highly recommend you to please subscribe to the channel Unshackling Sudokus and Puzzles if you haven't done so. It will really motivate us to cover videos on daily basis. And if at all you have a request for any Sudoku variant or a puzzle genre, do let us know in the comment below, and we'll surely make a video on it. And now coming back to this killer Sudoku. So the rules of this killer Sudoku are: you need to place digits from 1 to 9 in each row, each column, and 3 into 3 box without repetition. And apart from that, you have some cages in the grid, and each cage has a number given at the top left corner of the cage, right? So the number indicates the sum of the numbers inside the cage, right? And numbers cannot repeat within a cage. So you have a 3 here, and you cannot have a 3 here as well, right? So you cannot have two same numbers in a single cage, and that is what the rule says. And we'll start solving this Sudoku. So we know that for the 4 you need to have, for the 4 you need to have 1 and 3, right? Okay. And apart from that, 24 with 3 cells is 7, 8 and 9, right? And one more thing that at the start in this Sudoku you will find is, if you see, every box, every row and column will have sum as 45 if you add all the numbers from 1 to 9, which means each box, each row and each column will have sum as 45, right? You have 28 plus 12 is 40 plus 10 is 50, and just one cell out of the cage. So which means the sum of these 9 cells is 45, and this one cell added will give you a sum as 50, which means this cell would have to be a 5, right? This is the start, easy start. Apart from that, there is a really excellent start to this Sudoku is, if you see this cell, whatever you have here in this box, that digit would have to be this digit, right? Because the same numbers cannot repeat within a cage. So whatever you have here cannot be inside this 35, cannot be within these 3 cells, so this would have to be this number. Same way, whatever you have here would have to be either this or this, right? Whatever you have here would have to be this. Same logic, right? So with that, let us see how to start this Sudoku now. Now if you see here, 7, 8 and 9 cannot be this cell. This cell cannot be a 7, 8 or a 9, which means this cell, this green cell also cannot be a 7, 8 or a 9, right? Easy. Now which means 7, 8 and 9 would have to be inside 35. So 35 consists of 7 cells, which means 3 of these cells would have to be 7, 8 and 9. Other 4 cells would have to have sum as 11. So 35 minus 24, 7, 8, 9 is 24. 35 minus 24 is 11. And which means the sum of the other remaining 4 cells would have to be 11, and that is only one way possible is 1, 2, 3 and 5. Which means this cell can only be 1, 2, 3 or a 5, right? Because sum of these 7 cells is 35, and this cell cannot be 7, 8 and 9, and which means the other 4 candidates remaining for the sum as 35 is 1, 2, 3 and 5. So which means this cell also would have to be 1, 2, 3 and a 5, and both of these cannot be 5 now. If this cell is not a 5, this cell also won't be a 5, right? Now another piece of logic here is, this cell and this cell would have to be same, right? Can it be 1? So if this cell is a 1, this cell would have to be a 1, and both of these cells cannot have a 1 now, right? So this cell cannot be a 1, same way this cell cannot be a 3, which means this cell would have to be a 2 now. Nice, right? Now the moment you get a 2 here, you see the 10 kg here. This is a 5, the other 2 cells would have to be either 1, 4 or a 2 and a 3. So 2 and a 3 is ruled out now. So which means these 2 cells would have to be 1, 4. So this becomes a 3 and this becomes 1. Very nice start to this Sudoku, right? A really an excellent start. And which means now these cells would have to be 1, 2, 5, 1, 3, 5, 7, 8 and 9, right? Let us see what else we get here. So 28 will never have a 2. The minimum possible value in a 28 is 4, which means 2 would have to be inside a 12. 3 also would have to be inside a 12, because 2 and 3 cannot be inside 28, cannot be here. So it would have to be inside this 12 and can only be these 2 cells. So this cell is a 7 now. Easy. So which means these cells are 5, 6, 8 and 9. So we get 5, 6, 8, 9 is 17 plus 11, 28. Nice. So that's it. And the next part of the Sudoku is this cell now. This cell, whatever you have in this cell, can either be this cell or this cell, right? But this cell is not possible because you already have 1 here. So this cell cannot be a 1. So whatever you have here would have to be here. Let us mark that with the other color here. Excellent, right? So what are the possible digits here now? Cannot be 1, 2, 3, 4. Can be 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. Of course, right? So can it be, it can be 5, it can be 6, cannot be 7, can be 8 and a 9. So 5, 6, 8 and 9. We have marked that, right? And let us see now. What else we get here? Okay. Now if you see here, if you see this cell now, leave that. See this cage now. Let us see this cage, or I'm sorry. Okay. 7, 8 and 9. Okay, so the next logic in this Sudoku is, we know that 7, 8 and 9 in this box will have to be inside the 35 cage, right? One of these 7, 8 and 9 would have to be inside the 35 cage, which means this cell can only be 1, 2, 3 on the 5. 2 is already filled in the cage, so which means it can be 1, 3 and 5. 5 and 1 is already written here, which means this cell would have to be a 3, right? And which means now the other remaining cells are 7, 8, 9, 1 and a 5. These 3 cells are now 3, 4 and 6, right? Exactly. So 3 and 4 is already here, which means this cell is a 6. This cell is a, these cells are 3 and a 4, right? This cell cannot be a 7, cannot be a 1. This 6 will eliminate 6 from this cell, so that eliminates from this cell as well. Easy. So let us see what else we get here. Now if you see here, next part of the Sudoku is seeing the 29 cage. So you have 1, 5 pair here. Seeing the 29 cage, what are the maximum digits possible here in these 4 cells? 6, 5, 4 and a 3, right? What happens if we have 6, 5, 4 and a 3 here? 6 plus 5 is 11, 4 plus 3 is 7, 11 plus 7 is 18, which means these 2 cells would have to sum as 11. So the moment you have a 5 in 29 case, this cell sums to 1, right? So 1 plus 18 is 19, and this cell would have to be a 10 now. Not possible, which means you cannot have a 1 here. The moment you have a 1 here, even if you take the maximum digits in these 4 cells and the maximum digit here, the sum will always be 28, right? So which means this cell is a 5 now and this cell is a 1 now. That eliminates 5 from this cell, 5 from this cell. Nice. Now if you see here, now let us take the maximum digit in these 4 cells, ignoring the 5. So you don't have 9, 8, 7, you don't have 5. The next maximum 4 digits is 6, 4, 3 and 2. So 6 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 is 15. 15 plus 5 is 20. So this cell would have to be a 9. And that means this would have to be the maximum digits. Because even if you take one digit lesser in these 4 digits, this cell would have to be a 10. Not possible, right? So which means you will have to have maximum digits here 2, 3, 4, 6. 2 cannot be here, 3 cannot be here. And which means these two cells are 1 and a 5. And this is a 9. So the moment you get a 9 here, this becomes an 8, this becomes an 8. That removes 8 from this cell becomes 5 and a 9. Easy, right? Nice. Now coming back to another part of the puzzle here. Okay, this 9 would give you a 5 here and a 9 here. That removes 5 from these cells, 9 from these cells. Okay, this 5 would give you a 1 here and a 5 here. 1 and a 9 will give you 1 and 1 9 pair here in these cells. So that removes 1 from this cell and you have a 1 9 pair here, right? So this 2 3 will give you a 4 here and a 3 here. Okay, so we are done till this now. Now if you see here, this cage is a 31 cage, right? So which means these cells are 31. If you remove this 8 and add this 8, it is still 31. Plus 1 is 32, which means the sum of these two cells would have to be 13, which is 4 9, 8 5 is not possible, 6 and 7, right? These are the possible digits here. Same way, if you see here, sum of these cells are 34. So if you remove this cell and add this cell, sum of these cells are 34, which means the sum of these two cells are 11. 2 9, 3 8, 4 7 is not possible, 5 and 6. So there are too many possibilities here. Let us not look into that. This cell would have to be 4 and a 6. Okay, and okay, one more thing is, whatever you have in this cell now will have to be in this cell, right? Again the same logic, same 31 kg here, 4 6 7 9, this 5 is not possible, right? So 4 6 7 9, whatever you have here would have to be here, which means it cannot be 9, right? It cannot be 7 as well. So this cell would have to be 4 and a 6 here. Nice. So whatever you have here would have to be here, which means sum of these cells is 31 plus 5 is 36. So sum of these two cells is 9. What are the possible digits here? 8 1 is not possible, 8 is already here. 2 7, 3 6 and 4 5 is not possible, right? Okay, now if you see here, okay, 2 7, so 7 is not here, so 2 wouldn't be here. So if this is 2 3 6, this also would have to be 2 3 and a 6 here. Now comes the excellent part of this Sudoku, guys, one of my favorite parts. So if this is a 2, this would have to be a 2. If this is a 3, this would have to be a 3. See here, you have a 2 3 pair here. So if this is a 2, this would be 2. If this is 3, this would be 3, and none of these cells will be 3 or a 2, right? So which means this is a 6 here, this is a 6 here. That gives you that sum of these two digits were 9. So this is 3 here. That 3 gives you 2 and a 3, and actually we solve this Sudoku now. That is how we solve this Sudoku. Sum of these two digits were 13, right? So this is 4, this would have to be a 9, right? And with that we actually solved. That was the main logic in this Sudoku. There are different ways to bypass this Sudoku, right? Bypass the logic here, but this was one of my favorite logics here. You getting removing a 2 3 digits from here because of the 2 3 pair here, and that gives you only a 6 here, right? That was one of my favorite logics. And let us see now if we complete this Sudoku. These 3 digits are 1 2 and 7. So 1 cannot be here, 2 cannot be here, 1 cannot be here. So this is 7 2 and 1. That gives you 4 and a 1 here. Okay, this is 2. So these 3 cells are 7 8 and 9, right? This cannot be a 9, this cannot be a 7 now, right? And these digits are 3 5 6 and 7. Okay, 3 and 5 would have to be here, which means this is 5 3, 6 and 7 would have to be here. So this cannot be a 7 now. That gives you a 7 here, right? And this is 8 and 9, which means this cell would have to be a 4. That is 6 here. Remove 6 from this cell, 2 4, so that removes 4 from this cell, and this cell would have to be an 8 now, right? And which means the sum of these two cells were 11, right? So cannot be 9 2, can be 9 2, 3 8 is not possible, 4 7 is not possible, 5 6 is not possible. So this cells would have to be 2 and 9. That gives you 8 and 9 here. That removes 9 from this cell, 8 from this cell, 6 from this cell. So this cell is a 5 and a 1. Okay. Okay. Now let us. Okay. So 1 cannot be here. 1 cannot be here because that will give you an 8 here. So 1 would have to be inside these cells. So this cell is a 1 now. So 8 plus 1 is 9. You need 20 more. 20 without an 8 will always have a 9. So 9 would have to be here. And remaining is 11. So 9 2 is not possible. 8 3 is not possible. 7 4 and 5 and 6. 4 7 5 6. Okay. Okay. It would have to be a 5. Because 5 cannot be here, 5 cannot be here as well, because if you have a 5 here, you will have a 4 here. So 5, 6 and 9. So this cell is a 5, 6 and a 9, and which means these two cells are, cannot be 8 1, can be 7 2, 3 6 is not possible, 4 5 is not possible. So 2 and 7, that gives you a 6 and a 7 here, and 1 3 and a 5. So this cell is a 3, these cells are 1 and a 5. That one gives you a 9 and a 1 here. That gives you a 9 here. 6 and 8 here. Right? 5 and 9. 5 and 9 is removed here. 6 and 8. So which means this is 7 and 8. These two cells are 6 and 7. These two cells are 2 and 4. Right? So 4 and a 2. Which means this cell would have to be an 8. This cell would have to be a 4. Okay? And which means 5 and a 1, 5. 5 would have to be here, which means that gives you an 8 and a 6 here. That gives you a 4 here. 2 4, 7 2. Okay, 7 8 and 3. So yeah, 6 and 9. That is not an 8. 2 7 and 9. 2 9. This would have to be 7 9 2 9, 6 9. Okay, 8 7, 6 and 3. That gives you 3 and an 8. And with that we complete this gorgeous, excellent Sudoku, Killer Sudoku. So if you see here, this is what is the beauty of handcrafted Sudokus. So computer generated Sudokus won't have the logic, the intended solve path that really a human want to put into it, right? So if you are really looking forward to such excellent hybrids, I mean to say excellent variants and even hybrid Sudokus, even classic Sudokus, please subscribe to my Patreon page. I would make sure that you won't regret subscribing to it. And if you really love this video, please subscribe to the channel Unshackling Sudokus and Puzzles. And if at all you have a request for any Sudoku variant or a puzzle genre, do let us know in the comment below and we'll surely make a video on it. Thank you.